Hello everyone, GM. Welcome back to another episode of Overpriced JPEGs. We have a super special bonus episode for you this week in honor of some big news that we just got out of Instagram. So I'm here joined by a number of people that I love. We have two folks from the Instagram team, as well as the creator, Sara Bauman, who I have interviewed many times, but never for this podcast somehow, which is a shame that we are now rectifying and will probably rectify again in the future. Joining me today, we have Will Sebrin, Director Innovation Partnerships for Instagram. We have Alex Edmonds, the Product Marketing Lead for Creator Blockchain Experiences at Instagram, and Sara Bauman, artist behind Women in Weapons and founder of the Women in Weapons Project. Thank you all so much for joining me on the pod today.
Thank you so much for having us.
To be here.
We are going to talk all about this announcement y'all just made and what this really means for the space, what it means for y'all's broader thinking over at Instagram. I think it's really exciting what we're starting to see come out of companies like yours, Reddit, like really genuinely big investments in the world of NFTs. So before we dive into all of that, though, we do need to ask the audience two things. One, please, if you are watching this on YouTube, would love if you subscribe. We recently launched the Overpriced JPEGs YouTube channel, separate from the Bankless YouTube channel. So please go and give that a subscribe so you can check out all our great content. And if you are listening to this on a podcast app, please go rate and review it. Of course, it means the world to me, helps other people find the show. And before we dive into everything, we do need to hear a word from our lovely, lovely sponsors.
When it comes to NFTs, convenience often wins over security, despite scams being everywhere. Brands and artists have no other choice by complying with big marketplace terms and weak security because no good alternative exists, which is what prompted Ledger to fix the problems of NFTs themselves and launch Ledger Market. The Ledger Market provides an end-to-end secure NFT experience for brands, artists, and users, enabling true ownership and control over NFT assets, from minting to storing. Ledger Market secures NFT projects via Ledger Enterprise, keeping you protected from phishing attacks and scams. And the market directs users to Ledger Live, where they can transact with a contract directly, giving clear signing details instead of blind signing and praying. Don't trust, verify with clear signing from Ledger Market. Stay up to date on the latest drops and marketplace updates by following Ledger on Twitter and joining the Ledger Open Discord, which is linked in the show notes below. BUENO is the NFT toolkit you need to launch your digital collectible on the blockchain without coding. Every step of the NFT creation process, from generation to mint, all taken care of by the BUENO NFT toolkit. With BUENO, you can load up your art layers, reorder the layers, tinker with rarity, everything you need to make your NFT project a reality. BUENO even allows you to mint your tokens on the blockchain with zero code and offers advanced minting logic like linking allow lists, airdropping tokens, and on-chain royalty configuration. As a part of their launchpad, you'll get access to forums to run surveys, email collection, and build your pre-sale list to make sure you are hooked into your own community. BUENO is full of powerful tools you need to build the most expressive NFT project possible. So go to bueno.art and start building your own collections today.
All right, so you guys recently announced phase 2 of the Instagram NFT integration process, which is going to include minting, selling NFTs directly in the Instagram app and on mobile, which is a really big deal for a number of reasons that we'll talk about. But before we get into all that, I want to reflect on what phase 1 has looked like and the results of phase 1. Maybe Alex, do you want to walk us through what phase 1 of your NFT integration looked like, and then kick us off in talking about what you really learned from that?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us, Carly. Really huge fan of the podcast and really thrilled to be here. I feel like it's about a year on. So, a year on. Congratulations for that. And yeah, really, really exciting week for us. So thrilled to be here to talk to you about it. So in terms of what our first milestone within this space was, earlier in the year, in May, we launched our first step into the NFT space. And this was the ability to showcase your NFTs on Instagram. So sharing your digital collectibles, linking your digital wallet, and we have multi-blockchain support for that. So at the time, we launched with Ethereum and Polygon, subsequently have also launched with Flow, and today Solana also we now have support for, along with a range of different wallets. So very much part of the core value prop that we wanted to demonstrate was that openness with the ecosystem, allowing NFTs from all of those different blockchains to be be part of Instagram and recognized as digital collectibles. So we started that in May with a small group of alpha creators. We're now live in 100 countries globally. Started with static images. This week also have announced the launch of supporting video NFTs as well. So really exciting to have reached that milestone of 100 different countries, and on top of that have additional blockchains and additional content types since the start of the journey. In terms of the response that we have seen from that, I'd say that honestly, we've been really thrilled with the response that we've seen from the community. I'd say that comes from a few different reasons. That it's clear, hopefully, what we're trying to achieve in coming into the space the way that we did. So firstly, as I say, from the outset with this product, we've really wanted to show that principle of openness is very much embedded into our product experience. So by that, the multi-blockchain support was something that from the very outset, we really wanted to show up with in the space. Second to that, I think that something else that has really resonated with the community is that we're really here with the intention of making this a more accessible, more understandable, more simplistic space. There is so much amazing work already going on from so many different parts of the ecosystem, but I think we can all agree that really the barriers to entry is still high in terms of comprehensibility, very much in terms of everything from the naming, the nomenclature, the simplistic UI, the ethereal shimmer in order to demonstrate that something was a digital collectible and therefore something unique. These were all really important parts of our product design from the very beginning. And I think creators have really resonated with the fact that we are trying to make this a simpler space in order for it to be something that is more understandable for mainstream audiences. I think finally, one thing that I'd say, and would love to pass over to Will and Sara on this as well, is just, I think, I personally have been really thrilled to see that it's been recognized what we're doing in order to try and bring creators from so many different backgrounds into this space. That was core to the alpha that we had for our original display, and it's also core to the alpha that we have now as we launch minting and creation and selling, really showing that this can be from such a different range of disciplines, different backgrounds, and is very much part of the Instagram and Meta ethos to try and uplift as many voices as we can in this space as we build out this product.
Do people outside of the NFT community, how much did they know this was happening on Instagram, and did they have pushback? Because I feel like typically when any mainstream brand does anything with NFTs, there's a lot of vitriol. So I would have expected, and not through any fault necessarily of y'all's, that this would have been like a mixed bag kind of a rollout.
More than happy to pass over to Will, who has been working with the community really on ensuring that our message has been clear from the beginning on that. As I say, I think that the specific people that we did work with for our alpha and from all of the kind of pieces of rolling out as we do so globally, really have kind of been part of the journey of making this something that really all of those principles became clear through. And I think the fact that from the get that we had that openness and speaking with the community and really then kind of showing that through the product helped in demonstrating that story. But definitely would opine to Will and Sara as well on that.
Yeah, I would just add that, I think what we really tried to do was be really additive to what was already happening in the space. And so that display feature really highlighted that. And we also brought in a group of alpha creators that, really represented diverse voices who were already really, prevalent in the space. So you saw Boss Beauties, you saw Swope, Sophia Wilson, Jen Stark, Adam Bomb Squad. You saw a bunch of early creators join us who I think really represented what was going on in Web3 already. And then, we hear from our creators and our partners all the time about how surprised that their audiences were so receptive to this. So one example is I was at a Web3 dinner last week with Eric Rubens, who's an incredible landscape photographer. He sells his work on Super Rare. He's like the epitome, Carly, of your GM, right? He's like sunrise photos, the most amazing sunrise photos. And he was saying that he's really leaned into the digital collectibles feature. And not only was his audience incredibly supportive and really excited about it and asking all the questions about the art, but in his DMs, he was both getting followers asking more about NFTs and also other artists asking, what was the process to get involved here? What does this mean for photographers? So I think that's really exciting for us, that people are really interested in it, and the creators, that we're working with are really well positioned to educate them.
Do you think part of the positivity here is that I think you've laid it out pretty well, where you have that sort of separate tab for NFTs, so people who want to go and explore that can, but it's not kind of forced in your face if maybe you want to avoid it because you have some conception about NFTs, about hating it. Like, does that feel like part of it?
I think, yeah, that's an interesting perspective. I think that also what's part of it is this is very much a creator product. This is a product in order to help creators, one, show their work, and separate to that, also really find their audiences and connect further with their fans. So I think that the fact that this is something that is really in order to, elevate the creator, to enable them to do all of those things, is another reason that it's really kind of seeing that positivity, both from the creator community, but also from the fans that follow them and want to see more of their work.
Sara, obviously, would love to have you share a little bit about your perspective, having used the Instagram product and being an artist and being in this space. I don't know if you want to tell folks a little bit about who you are as well, and then would love to hear how this felt on your end.
Yeah, so as you stated earlier, I am the artist and founder of an NFT collection and brand called Women and Weapons, which basically accentuates the innate power in women. But I'm also an independent artist. And I'm beyond ecstatic about what Instagram is launching with digital collectibles. I think this is such an exceptional space with such exceptional new technology and an integration of so many different individuals, being engineers, developers, artists, creatives, business people, finance, and so on. And I think it's a really exciting space for especially artists and, people who are really wanting to branch out to come and meet a new audience, right? And so what Instagram is doing with launching digital collectibles on their platform is really, reaching out to a brand new, array of individuals, right? We're starting to meet a whole new set of individuals where they are. A lot of what we've seen with digital collectibles has been on Twitter, has been on Discord. Now we're branching out and really starting to meet people where they are, and we're kind of lowering that barrier to entry. As we've seen, there's been a lot of difficult jargon. There's been a very high barrier to entry. And now we're seeing this, meeting people on platforms that they're already really enjoying and that they're already really having a good time utilizing and are comfortable utilizing. I've played with the digital collectibles aspect on Instagram and I've really enjoyed it. I think it's been really seamless and easy to utilize. I've had a lot of people reaching out to me telling me that they think it's really cool. They like being able to see the details in regards to the digital collectibles that I'm putting on Instagram. And I've had a lot of people asking questions about it as well. So it seems like, the community outside of just, other different platforms, the community in Instagram is really intrigued by and excited by this as well.
Instagram has always been a no-brainer for NFTs, of course, given that they're a visual medium. So it's always been a little funny that Twitter has been the hub for like the Web3 community, given the visual nature of what we're in. So I'm certainly excited if, this starts to pick up and people are really excited about Instagram as being more of a hub for all of this to happen. Okay, you started to touch on this, but Alex or Will, can you just take a step back for us and maybe give us the long-term vision for NFTs and Instagram and why this is appealing for Instagram as a platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, at Instagram, first and foremost, we know that creators are the lifeblood of our platform. These are the individuals who are pushing forward culture. They are shaping the discourse around us, both on and off platforms. And we know that whatever we do in order to support creators is actually brilliant for all of us, right? We understand that actually enabling creators to make more art in order, enabling them to actually create bigger communities, to forge more meaningful connections, all of those things benefit all of the ecosystem. And that is precisely what blockchain technology empowers, right? That is precisely why we are really excited to be starting to test this space, starting to iterate, wanting to work with the community to understand how we can add most value to that already really vibrant ecosystem. And further to that, try and help expand that community, both on the creator side, make this easier for creators who are not already in the space to onboard into it, but also work with the community in order to help onboard more audiences who don't quite understand it yet, who don't find it easy or accessible, and who don't quite yet get the value. So really drawing out that creator-fan relationship is something that is really meaningful for Instagram, is something that is really meaningful for creators, and something that we know that blockchain technology can enable. That is why it is something that we are now really excited about and building and testing in.
Well, what do you say to people who just hear that Meta, as a parent company is involved in something and automatically just get a clench in their stomach being like, there must be something suspect here. How are they going to ruin this thing? What is your response?
Yeah, I guess I say a few things. One is, we really want to be part of an open ecosystem. So I think you see that with the display feature where, you can share it to your story, you can link out to any third-party platform, you can drive, off-platform collection sales. I think the second piece is, everyone on my team on innovation partnerships and, on Alex's product team is someone who deeply cares about Web3 and NFTs, right? I minted a DGOT, I minted a Moonbird, I just collected my Blur airdrop. Like, I live and breathe this space every single day. And I think, we are really trying to do right by the community and what's already happening in Web3. I think we would be doing a disservice to something we love if we didn't.
I would also point to Adam Mosseri's TED Talk, which I think a lot of people, if you've seen it, like, it might be surprised by, because it's one thing for you to be in Web3 but at the end of the day, like, these orders are going to come from the top. And if they want to make it a closed ecosystem and extract as much value as the parent company can, like, that's what they're going to do. So I have been heartened kind of hearing Adam and the way he talks about this. Possible I'm being fooled, but like, it does seem like he genuinely believes that NFTs and the interoperability piece and letting fans or letting creators own their relationship to the fan, as opposed to having the platform sort of own that relationship for them. It feels like he genuinely believes that. So that would be somewhere else to answer my own question along with you guys. I would say that
doing our job for us, Sally. I mean, that's completely correct, right? And I think Adam very much kind of testifies to the fact that we understand that the ecosystem becoming richer is something that not only is beneficial for everyone within the ecosystem, but is something massively exciting and that we really want to be a part of and think that we have a role in playing. So very much that is precisely why the product, one, we have ambassadors like Adam who is precisely saying that story for us. But further to that, we are ensuring that the product speaks to that story by precisely having that interoperability, by working with so many partners already, by being on the ground and really speaking to the community as Will and his team are, by enabling that multi-blockchain support from the get-go. And as we get to the creation of NFTs, ensuring that there is that optionality both to sell them on our platform, but also to take them outside of our platform and sell them wherever else one might want to as well.
So that tees us up perfectly, of course, for this latest announcement. And I really want to dive into what you're doing now, because this next phase, as I said earlier, is about actually getting to mint NFTs directly on and using Instagram and then selling NFTs via Instagram. So maybe, Alex, I'll throw it back to you to really walk us through what this latest product rollout is and how it works sort of specifically.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we have announced this week that we will be launching to start small alpha in the US of creators who will be able to create NFTs on Instagram, digital collectibles on Instagram, and they will also be able to sell them on Instagram or also take them and sell them outside of Instagram as well. So how that works, I will walk you through. A picture is 1,000 words, but I'll walk you through the thousands of words of demos on this. So, essentially you have the go into on your profile. You can then go through to the digital collectibles tab. And from there, if you have a professional account, you will see the option either to create a collectible. This is done on the Polygon blockchain. This is the partner that we have for now. Obviously, for display, have multiple blockchains that we're working with, and starting here with Polygon, always listening to the community in terms of feedback and hearing evolving needs on that. You then can create a digital collectible by uploading an image that you already have. You then have the ability to set the resale value of that. So royalties essentially defaults to 5%, but you're able to set that to varying degrees in terms of a resale percentage that you'd want. You can make up to 100 of that collectible and add it to a collection. Now, within a collection, there are up to 40 collectibles. So that essentially means that an entire collection could be up to 4,000. But obviously you can do as few or as many as you want. You get to choose a list price per collectible as well. They can be different list prices for the different collectibles within a collection. Once you have gone through that creative process, you then submit your collection for review. Now, this can take anything up to 48 hours. Generally does not, but can do as it goes and is checked against all of our community guidelines and policies. So once that has gone through that process, you are notified, told that has gone through review, and you have the option of either adding it to your wallet or listing it up for sale on Instagram. So you get those two choices, as I say again, to just enable that flexibility if you do want to take it out to a different marketplace and you think that that's where your audience is, or if you want to go forward and sell that on Instagram. From there, you are able to have that listing. You publish that to feed, share it to feed, and that is then going to be visible to users all across the US to start in terms of the payments. And from there, we will be looking to expand to other countries. But as I say, starting testing this in the US with that small group of creators, and excited to hear feedback.
Awesome. And I was calling it kind of minting and selling and using these terms that the Web3 community is native to. But if I understand correctly, y'all are intentionally avoiding some of those words that we in Web3 use, but that may be less familiar or less intuitive to a broader audience. I think you're using the term digital collectibles, which won't come as a shock to anybody, as opposed to using the term NFT. Are you using the term minting, or is there other language you're subbing in?
Very perceptive. No, you're completely correct. Very much in a quest, just as we've been talking about, to make this as understandable and approachable as possible. That's precisely been the purpose in looking at the name digital collectibles, for example. I think that the way that we win hearts and minds in this space is really kind of having analogies to mental models that people already are used to. And so that informed our decision on digital collectibles instead of naming the underlying tech in the first place. Now that we're starting to look at the notion of creating of NFTs, again, to majority of audiences, there's no reason that one would use the word minting. We're so familiar with it. We kind of live and breathe that. Minting, gas fees. This is kind of parlance that we're so used to if we've been working in the space. But as we're trying to onboard all of the millions of people on our platform into understanding this and really understanding the utility behind digital collectibles, really kind of just lowering the barriers to entry with as simplistic language as we can was very much a core premise and principle in our product development. So yes, you will see the word creation of NFTs. You will see adding to wallet. You'll see the term blockchain fees as opposed to gas fees. So don't be surprised when you see these more lay simplistic terms. That's very much by design.
During that 48-hour review period that you're describing, is part of the goal there, or maybe even outside of that, like what's in place to ensure that the person minting a collection is actually the artist behind the collection that they're minting? That's obviously a problem we've seen in the space broadly, is people stealing other people's work, minting it. There's only so much, I imagine, that can be done, but is that something that Instagram is thinking about?
Yeah, completely. And that is exactly what that review period is. During that period, the content is passed via our community standards guidelines, and that is infrastructure that we already have is so important to the Instagram platform. And precisely that is what is going on during that review process. We want to make sure that we make this a place where creators feel that their work is recognized, where audiences who are looking at this really kind of understand what they are seeing and the veracity of it. This is obviously something that is so important to everyone who's operating in this space. And precisely that diligence is something that is first and foremost of importance to Instagram. So precisely that is why we are putting that in place as the point of checking that.
The royalty fee piece, of course, I love. I'm sure Sara is smiling over there. Obviously, a lot has been made recently about like creator royalties and bypassing them. So seeing a platform, as big as Instagram, who has the potential to onboard as many people into this space as Instagram does, I think it's so important that that royalty piece is there. It's striking to me, Instagram, y'all have delayed or said you're not taking any fees until at least 2024, and you may not even take them after that. That's fascinating. Like, what went into the decision for Instagram to basically not make any money on this feature? Because that's what it sounds like you're saying. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you are completely correct. So, you're completely correct, Carly. Instagram Meta is not taking any fees on the creation of digital collectibles, on the sale of digital collectibles, on the resale of digital collectibles. We're not taking any fees. We're waiving that until 2024. We're also covering gas fees, blockchain fees. So the thinking
not called
behind
gas
that,
fees.
I mean,
Smart.
Getting used to it myself. Look, we're really early in this product, right? And we're going to keep testing. We're going to keep iterating. What is prime importance for us right now is understanding how we can add most value to creators and for creators. So while we're in that period, we're still very much kind of testing, learning. That is why it is not something that we're looking to do to take fees at this point. And very much kind of listening to the community on how they kind of feel about the product in order to kind of, maximize the value that we can bring. Now, obviously, for purchases that are made within the Instagram app, using the Android or iOS operating system, those are subject to in-app purchase fees, which are industry standard. But Meta is taking no additional fees on any of the digital collectibles creation, resale, or selling.
And that recently came out. Apple said we will very much still be taking our 30% fees on NFTs. So that's sort of an Apple question and doesn't have to do with Meta specifically. So I guess not to belabor this higher level point, but you guys are a business, right? So like even setting aside people's feelings maybe about Meta as a company, like it's reasonable that Meta believes that at some point this will be or for Instagram, like this will be better for them monetarily in some way, because you have to, because you're a business and there's no you need to vilify that. So it's the thinking here, like we really think this is going to create such fundamentally like greater loyalty, greater relationships between fan and creator specifically, and maybe, and I'd love to ask about this, like brands and their audiences, that ultimately it's sort of like the tide rises all boats. We'll cut fees now so that people actually start using this, so we can really bootstrap the initial user base, get people excited and interested, because we think that down the line this really will, in the biggest sense, be the best move for Instagram. Is that the thinking at a high level?
I think, as I say, we're really at the beginning of not only the product, but really in entering this space, right? So have wanted to do so in a manner that means that we can test, learn, look at what's providing most value, and that's really going to define our roadmap. So obviously we have started with showcasing, we're now moving into creation, selling, we're thinking about what are the experiences that are going to unlock the most utility for our creators, for their fans, and very much also, as you say, brands are also looking at this as well. So absolutely, we are trying to work out how we can most make value for creators and their fans. And from there, we will assess what the next steps are in terms of fees or monetization. But the most important thing is to get a product that really has product market fit and is creating as much value as possible before we get there.
Yeah, and even outside monetizing directly through the NFTs. I mean, something that I have said now on this pod a number of times recently is I feel like there is an element with NFTs of it's like late stage capitalism, like we need to find value, kind of where we can. And NFTs become this tremendous way to create greater value for your audiences.
Completely.
And whether you monetize them directly by selling them the NFTs, or you use the NFTs as a way to create a closer relationship with them so you can monetize them in other ways, it kind of doesn't matter. It's the same general premise. And so whether or not I think Instagram, y'all monetize directly by taking a fee, with the NFTs themselves, which I imagine down the line you probably will and would maybe be silly not to, but I don't know. You're figuring it out. I appreciate that. I appreciate you're not taking the fees now.
Look at you.
Or it's because people
making
have
strategy for us, Carly.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just if you guys need somebody to come in and consult, or it's just because people have a closer relationship now with with the celebrity that they love or the influencer that they love. And so that makes them more loyal to Instagram in the same way that like Amazon wants to have Amazon Prime because you're more loyal to buy Amazon toilet paper or whatever it is because you love, I don't know, insert an Amazon Prime show here, like if people have positive experiences on the platform, like that makes sense to me. I don't know if I'm saying the things you guys aren't allowed to say or something. And
I think that's exactly right, which is we've seen NFTs, digital collectibles be this incredibly powerful tool that aligns incentives between creator and community, right? Gives the creator so much more control over their fans, over their community, and it enables, and will enable millions of creators to create beautiful art and be able to make a living off that. So I think that's the way we think about it is it's this powerful, powerful tool, and we're just starting to learn what is the best use for it.
And I think what you said there, Carly, on, the notion of all boats. Oh, I'm going to butcher the phrase myself on tides, boats, rising tides. Everyone's rising. You know what? Not my sport. But I mean, that's exactly it, right? Like what is our priority at Instagram is to help creators to make meaningful connections that are recognizable anywhere. And that's both on our platform and off our platform. And that's what we see we can do with blockchain technology. I think that the more creativity that we have running on platform, off platform, this is only of benefit to all of us. And that's precisely what is, so exciting and rich about this space. You made a comment on, the kind of notion of NFTs related to speculation. And I think that, one of the benefits that we are seeing of the last few months of kind of change in the space is really kind of that focus increasingly on utility, on driving value, on creators really just actually wanting to use this as a mechanism of making those relationships with those fans. And the more that we can start thinking of NFTs as that in mainstream audiences, that is how we really win and drive mainstream adoption, all of which goes back to, moving away from names that kind of have any of that speculative notion or kind of relationship to them and talking more in terms of use cases and actual value.
Yeah. And I think I say some of this too, because again, I can just hear people sitting at home being like, that's all lovely. And I believe you, Alex, and you, Will, are in this space and believe all of this. Instagram is Instagram and they want to make money. So what I think I'm somewhat bought in to the fact that Instagram as a company does see this and believes that they as a platform will do better by buying into this space in a way that, cautiously right now, I think is actually good for all of us. And I understand that business case, I think. I think that does make sense to me. Like, you will spend more time on Instagram as a platform if you feel closer to and more tied into this creator whose NFT exists on Instagram but can also exist elsewhere. And so I'm trying to kind of spell that out, I think, for audiences to, because again, I'm not like trying to show you guys. I am fairly bought into the idea that this is sort of good for the space as a whole, which is funny to be saying because again, Meta has historically sort of been seen as like the villain of this space. I mean,
it definitely also goes back to, and Adam made this parallel in the TED talk that you also alluded to. The notion of that power shift and the move from creator to platform, that is what Web3 really augurs. And that platform is already, that power shift is already happening. So really it's for us to, one, kind of understand it. And then with that, actually ascertain how we can be most additive to it. So really that's the way that we are thinking about this. This is already something that is so exciting and happening in the space. So it's really how we can work with creators in order to ensure that we bring the most value for them in entering it ourselves.
The mobile first piece here is also striking, that you're going to be minting mobily. That feels like we mostly live in a desktop NFT world. And it will be really powerful when we move to a more mobile experience in this space. Do you want to speak just for a moment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what we're really hoping for with this is, now we have the ability for creators to create digital collectibles on Instagram. They can also market or showcase that work on Instagram. They can also sell it on Instagram, sell it elsewhere. So really, it's kind of going through all of the jobs to be done, if I put my, product marketing hat on, or going through all of the kind of different needs of a creator in this space and trying to kind of provide an option for them. Now, we know that there are so many creators who are also prefer to do this on desktop. Absolutely fine. We're not suggesting that this be the one place that one might want to do that. You might want to create different NFTs on one platform. You might want to experiment with our tools within Instagram. So I think it's really kind of providing that optionality for whatever journey you want as a creator. That is something that is really of paramount importance to us, and I think is additive to this already rich ecosystem. I think also on top of that, we're trying to bring new creators into this space. And so having that ability to experiment on really easy to use tools is something that I think is going to hopefully onboard more creators into the NFT spaces as well, and mean that not only this is reaching larger audiences, but it's also kind of reaching a larger number of creators. So really excited to hear how people do use it as we start to test this further, and welcome all feedback.
Well, we have a creator here we can ask. Sara, how are you planning on using this? You're a part of this alpha drop with Instagram. Talk to me about how you're feeling.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, super excited about it. That's for sure. But second of all, there's only so much that you can do in regards to outreach and onboarding whenever you're functioning just within Twitter and just within Discord, right? Like at some point it kind of becomes like, reaching out to an echo chamber. So, like I said before, I think one of the great things about Instagram getting involved with digital collectibles is that we're going to have the opportunity to onboard a brand new set of individuals. And not only that, those of us artists, creators, and so on who have already built up a following on Instagram, we can now start bringing our digital collectibles to those people directly on Instagram, as opposed to trying to port them over to another entity. And so I think that, alone is going to make it exponentially easier to onboard more people into the Web3 and the digital collectible space, because we are, like I said, meeting people where they are. And I think that truly helps lower the barrier for entry for a lot of people into this brand new technology that I think is extremely special for creators and for artists, because like you mentioned previously, not only does it authenticate ownership, but it also authenticates who the original creator was. And as you also touched on earlier, it's a little bit kind of volatile right now, but the royalty discussion, that's something that's really new and I think really special in regards to the digital collectible space. And that's something that I think is very sustainable for artists as well. So the fact that, Instagram is really delving into this, I think is just beyond exciting. And I think it's going to onboard a brand new set of individuals. And, for me, there's nothing more special than bringing people into a burgeoning, very exciting, very technologically advanced space, because I think that this is really where a lot of opportunities will develop. And as you know, digital collectibles have completely and totally changed my life. I used to be an occupational therapist who's always been passionate about art. All I ever wanted to be was an artist my entire life. And it wasn't until Web3 and digital collectibles that I finally had that opportunity to change my life and work full time as an artist. So I really hope that can be a very similar story for a lot of people through the use of Instagram and building out their digital collectibles and their following there.
Yeah, even just the in-app payment process, like the idea that you can almost impulse buy an artist's work now. It's like, oh, I love this artist's work, instead of having to now go to their website, some other process, and like do the whole thing, like just right there. Okay, I like it, I can grab it. I think that's really exciting. Do you have plans to launch a collection on Instagram, Sara?
Yes, I do.
Can you give us any details? Any alpha you can share?
Well, I can tell you that I'm beyond excited. This is a set of art pieces that are very close to my heart, very close to my culture. Something that I had been kind of plotting and planning for a little while, set of art pieces that I've been wanting to create. So I'm super excited for people to see these pieces, to be able to mint these pieces or, add these pieces to their wallet on Instagram directly. I really do think that this is going to lower the barrier. And as Alex was saying earlier, the fact that we're kind of adjusting the jargon and making it so much more digestible, I think will allow people to really interact with me and other of their favorite creators in a very exciting, new, and easier to interact way.
talk to me about the buy side experience of this. You just kind of walked us through the minting and the selling, but as a buyer, what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to reiterate, to start with, this will be visible only to audiences in the US. And they will see this as the listing. So as I said, creator has the option to, when they are, once their content has been reviewed, they get to then publish this as a collection, and that will then live on their feed. It will then have that ethereal shimmer look. Don't know whether you've seen, Carly, but that is very much associated with what digital collectibles are on Instagram. So the collection will have that shimmer on it, which will denote that it is a digital collectible. And further to that, there will be the tag saying digital collectible, where they can then kind of expand that, go in, look at all of the information that the creator has put as to why they have created this digital collectible, or any more additional information that they wanted to add to that. It will also then, as I say, have all of the different information in terms of kind of the pricing of it. And given that there potentially are different collectibles within that collection, they'll be able to look at the different collectibles in there as well. So very much excited to hear your feedback when, as and when that does come to you.
So two details. You buy using fiat, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And then second, do you have to have a Polygon compatible wallet? Like, is Instagram custodying a wallet for buyers, or is this something where I would connect with my MetaMask or my Wallet Connect, or et cetera?
Completely. So you do need to have a Polygon supporting wallet already connected to Instagram. So we have a morass of different wallets that we already support. So you have kind of different options in that regard. Obviously, Rainbow, MetaMask, Coinbase Wallet, Trust Wallet, any of the above in terms of Polygon. So that does need to be connected. From there, when you buy a digital collectible, that will then automatically get put in your wallet. You're able to then share that out onto your own profile and feed. And in so doing, that will then automatically tag both the creator and also yourself. So you've got already that kind of creator-fan relationship that, you know, is very much kind of core to the experience of having that kind of dual real estate and demonstrating that this is a collectible that you love and a creator that you're looking to support.
That strikes me as the biggest obstacle in this, and in onboarding new people, is going to be still needing folks to have a wallet. And more specifically, like, the Polygon piece can be even extra kind of, complicated, I think, to navigate for folks. Do you share that opinion? Are you guys thinking about that as sort of one of the more, prohibitive pieces to this? Or what do you think is the biggest challenge that we still face to really onboarding people, and specifically in the context of what you guys are working on?
Yeah, I mean, you're completely correct that obviously one does need to have a digital wallet in order to be able to buy digital collectibles on Instagram. I think that we're going to see how the product works. We're going to see what the creator uptake is in terms of them finding their audiences on Instagram. And, very much one of our hypotheses is that as soon as audiences know that the creators that they love are actually also selling digital collectibles on Instagram, that might actually inspire them to link their digital wallet to Instagram if they already have one, or it might kind of precipitate them to start investigating digital wallets. This is also kind of part of the education that we are very much doing as well. So we have on-channel strategies, for example, at Creators is one where we have a short series called NF Teach Me, where creators really kind of get to speak to why it is that they're working in digital collectibles and talk to potentially kind of the benefits of being involved in the space. So we're seeing how this goes. We're seeing how creators use the product, and from there, we'll see how that drives potential more audiences wanting to be involved and look at the space as well.
Yeah, I want to ask you, following up on that, a little bit about the marketing strategy here from Instagram side. But let me just ask first. So if I purchase one of Sara's NFTs, digital collectibles, directly on Instagram through my MetaMask wallet, does it now show up on when I go to my OpenSea, when I connect my MetaMask to OpenSea, it shows up there. It's not showing up in my Instagram feed, is it? It's showing up in my wallet.
It's in your wallet.
Cool.
You then have the option to then post that onto your feed in Instagram as well.
Okay.
You'll be able to see that displayed in your wallet. So you've got the option of whether you want to then post that as well, because we understand that some people don't necessarily want to post all of their different digital collectibles onto their feed. So very much it is only if you make that active choice to do that posting that other people will be able to see that you own that digital collectible as well.
But yeah,
Perfect.
Carly, exactly what you're saying. You'll see it on OpenSea. You'll see it on your wallet on Instagram.
Awesome. So on that marketing piece, is there anything to add in terms of how Instagram is trying to educate, I guess, is really what marketing looks like when we're talking about at Web3, because we are still early in that sense, to educate the Instagram community about digital collectibles, and how to be involved in this?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll talk about that from the product side, and then definitely want to kick it over to Will because he's been doing so much work with the community on this. But I think a couple of things. Firstly, in terms of a marketing strategy, like as I say, we're early in this. It's a test in terms of the creation and minting, and its creation and selling. So it's important first for us to kind of really see the value before we start, trying to scale or trying to market at large. So that would be kind of point one on this. In terms of the education, I think a couple of things. Firstly, really important, as we've been discussing, that the product speaks for itself in terms of education. The product starts to educate people as to what the value of digital collectibles are. So that is why that creator-fan relationship is something that we're kind of showing as paramount importance. So it's a kind of show, not tell in terms of the benefits of what digital ownership can be. Then on top of that, absolutely, as I say, already kind of opined to NF Teach Me as a series, for example, where we've been working with some really awesome creators in order for them to tell their stories. Have also been doing a lot of work with, the community to understand what they think of the product and to really honestly kind of understand where they think that it makes most sense for us to be doing further education. We've been doing some really cool stuff globally, some incubators, one actually earlier in the summer in Nigeria. So, which really speaks to the kind of global footprint that we understand of digital collectibles. But we'd really love to, also kind of hear from Will, given how much he has been doing with the community to really amplify what we've been doing so far and help onboard more people.
Yeah, I think, the NF Teach Me and education is a huge part of the strategy, right? We've had Sophia Wilson, we had friend of the pod, Amber Vittoria did one. So you see really big Web3 advocates who are on the At Creators platform, which has, 11.5 million followers. So that's already a massive space for education. I think the second piece really is, when we thought about who we wanted to test this, feature with, we really looked for a diverse group of Web3 advocates. So, across diversity and disciplines, we have painters, photographers, we have all types of artists. And I think everyone that you see there is someone who is really a huge advocate for the space. And so, whether you see them on Twitter or see them on Instagram, wherever you have found them, I think you'd be really happy that they're bringing their message and their art to Instagram and to our 2 billion audience as sort of these people who are trying to bring things to the mainstream. So I think we're really excited about the group we have.
COINSHIFT is a leading treasury management and infrastructure platform for DAOs and crypto businesses that need to manage their treasury operations. Every crypto org needs to manage its treasury, and COINSHIFT offers a simple, flexible, and efficient multi-chain treasury management platform built on top of the highly secure Gnosis Safe. With COINSHIFT, your organization can go from primitive single-chain treasury management to expressive, flexible, and multi-chain treasury features, such as global user management, global contacts, proposal management, and many other features that can be shared across an entire organization, allowing users to save time and reduce operational burdens and gas costs. COINSHIFT even has data tools like account reporting across the 7 chains on which it operates. Used by industry powerhouses such as Uniswap Grants, Balancer, Consensus, and Masari, COINSHIFT is speeding up the coordination and efficiency of the organizations that use it. You have to keep up with the frontier, and COINSHIFT makes that easy. So sign up at coinshift.xyz/bankless. We're all bullish on NFTs, but gaining exposure to NFTs as a whole is difficult. How are you supposed to gain broad, generic exposure to an industry that's designed to be unique and non-fungible? CRYPTEX has the answer. CRYPTEX Finance produces synthetic tokens that lets you get exposure to areas of crypto that you otherwise couldn't. Their first product, TCAP, provides broad exposure to the total crypto market cap of all crypto assets. And their second product, JPEGZ, gives you the ability to get exposure to the entire NFT market. It's the first real NFT index token, so you don't have to go hunting for rares or finding under the radar opportunities. You just need to own some JPEGs, because JPEGs tracks all NFT collections with real-time exposure. This is a first-of-a-kind product from CRYPTEX, who has worked in close collaboration with Chainlink for months to ensure accurate price feeds for true exposure. Live minting and trading of JPEGs will open at the end of Q4, so make sure you stay up to date with CRYPTEX Finance by joining their Discord, Telegram, or following them on Twitter.
When you say Web3 advocates, I think people who are already in Web3. Did you think of people, like, are you doing people outside of Web3 who, you know, you sort of like indoctrinated into this perhaps, who have massive audiences to kind of get it in front of their folks as well?
I think what we looked at was people who were already doing something in Web3 and understood the value of NFTs, but also people who came up on Instagram. So they've got a really loyal community on Instagram. They've been doing things on Instagram for years or since we started. And I think what's really important about that is all those people who have followed them for their art or for whatever they were creating on Instagram first. And so NFTs is like a secondary piece of that. So we believe they're the right people to come in and help us also educate.
You're speaking a lot and clearly primarily focused on the creator side and artists, I think in particular. I have to imagine y'all are thinking about this from a brand and celebrity perspective as well, where maybe it's not a visual artist, but it's somebody who's going to release NFTs and you can use them to get into their next concert as a VIP or something. Is there anything you can share on that side?
I mean, I'm happy to kind of, just allude to what you're saying on thinking about just artists. I think even from the beginning, you know, we were very keen to be demonstrating the value of this to a range of different disciplines, right? So whether that be streetwear, working with Adam Bomb Squad, who was in our original kind of showcasing alpha back in May, or different members from the sports community. So really kind of showing that multidisciplinary nature from the get-go, beyond just art, is definitely something that was of paramount importance and continues to be so. Absolutely, as you say, multiple brands looking at this space. I think that very much as we start to think beyond just creators, any guidance that we would give to brands who are looking at this is to really work with creators in order to actually kind of reach, have their message kind of shown on Instagram through those creators, is something that we think is of massive importance as well. In terms of then, you know, where we go from here, absolutely. I mean, we're thinking about the likes of utility, the different kind of composability that the blockchain technology really enables. That's something, again, that Adam attested to in his TED talk. So really that off-platform and on-platform different unlocking of experiences. It's that kind of composing of putting those together, stitching them in different ways, and giving creators the tools to put them together for whatever makes sense for their community. That is something that really excites us, one step at a time. But that, I mean, that's definitely the kind of stuff that we are looking at, but not for today's announcement.
Okay. So you're not going to tell me if Justin Bieber is launching digital collectibles on Instagram. Got it. Okay, fair enough. Well, anything else? I know you had a couple announcements that you kind of mentioned in the front. You're adding, video NFTs, which I think is great. I love Aku Tars, as people who listen to this podcast know, and the original Akus, the 10 chapters are like little mini films even. And so I love that you're adding that. I think the metadata is showing up. That's also new. You didn't have all the metadata, included in the NFTs in the past. Any other announcements along those lines that you all need to kind of get the word out about? And then also any like phase 3 plans you can tease, even though we're just talking about phase 2?
Well, I mean, as I said, so out this week for the display use case. So in terms of the NFTs that we can display, absolutely, we now have video. We also are now supporting Solana, as I said. So that goes along with the Flow, Ethereum, and Polygon support that we already have. So excited to have that ecosystem now going to be able to show up on Instagram as well. And further to that, we are working with OpenSea, and to the point that you make on metadata, Carly, precisely kind of that information from OpenSea in terms of various kind of different collections and the like is now going to be visible. So starting that partnership as well. So been a big week.
Amazing. Well, I had a prediction that in the future, folks will link their wallets to their dating profiles, like in the way that people will link their Instagram accounts to their dating profiles. I'm like, people will naturally link their wallets. You'll go use their NFTs. It'll, every coffee shop will issue their receipts as NFTs. You can see, oh, we go to the same coffee shop every morning, like blah, blah, blah. And I feel like you've like now front run that for me because now their NFTs are just visible via Instagram. Yeah. So I like sort of feel like I already get to declare victory. But we'll see where it goes from here. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thanks for talking about this. I really am excited that this is happening. I know I said this in the front, but like, we're recording this during a week when the Reddit NFTs are blowing up and there's 2 million wallets on Reddit. Looking at digital collectibles or, avatars, I guess it's more the PFP model, what you guys are doing. I'm not such a purist that I'm not really excited to see big corporations, frankly, getting in and pushing this stuff, because I think that's ultimately how we win and it goes mainstream. So thank you all so much for joining me. Sara, we have to have you come back and give your full story because folks really didn't get the full sense of it here. But such a pleasure to have you all on.
Thank you so much, Carly.
Thanks, Carly.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Overpriced JPEGs. If you liked this conversation, if you liked this episode, please go ahead and hit subscribe. It helps me out, it helps the show out, and it means you will get alerts and updates when we post new content. Thanks again.